I was working with ABC on just general development, figuring out what we would like to do, and I felt that excuse me, my feeling was that a detective show set in Hawaii was the right move to make right now. Hawaii Five O was going out of business, and I grew up with a show called Hawaiian Eye, which was a very simple show, shot here basically, but they would do all of those Warner Brothers shows in those days. They do a little location work. I just thought that the right guy in Hawaii doing detective stories was just the right move. Now that's a simple idea. That's not born of any breakthrough concept or anything. But I just felt that background with the right actor. So I started developing it at ABC, I think with Brandon Stoddard, and we wanted to be stylish, we wanted to be fun and whatever. And I think I mentioned earlier that on a given day, three things were thrown out of ABC. One was Battlestar, one was the Hardy Boys, and one was the development of Magnum PI. So back at Universal, which again it's an industry unto itself in those days. They said, "Do you have anything for CBS?" And this is the Black Tower. And I said, "Yeah, I really think that our detective show that was set in Hawaii would be the perfect thing to develop." So we went over there, we talked about it, and they said, let's go. Now, I had two shows developing for Hawaii. One was Battles, which was going to be Bill Conrad as a detective in Hawaii, while being a coach of a football team, University of Hawaii. And the other was Magnum. Now, Don Belisario had worked for me, and it was almost like we were going to lag quarters for which show would you like to do or whatever. But along came CBS saying, if you could get Tom Selleck, you've got a commitment. Because they had done a couple of pilots with him. And I think one of them was with Kennel. Mm-hmm. And I know that he had three pilots that had not sold previously. And he liked doing the Sacketts, the Western stuff he was doing. And he wanted out of his Universal contract. Sounds familiar. So when Bob Wagner wanted out of his, now I got Selleck wants out of his. His lawyer went in and did the definitive hatchet job on me. Glen Larson won't stay there. You'll be all alone on the island. What he's trying to say is to the studio is that Tom has really good reasons to leave. Now, Don has worked with me on a couple of shows. He did Battlestar. Against my advice, he took on Quincy. And I said, you'll have a little... I know how strong Don is, and I know Jack. So I said, I don't know if that's a good fit. I warn you about that one. He took the show, and Jack fired him a few weeks later, as he had at least 12 other producers, including Michael Sloan and everybody. Everybody I took to the set, he'd fire. So anyway, we have this meeting. Now, I'm not in this meeting. I just hear about this meeting. And they say, well, Tom doesn't approve Glen because Skip said that, he won't stick around, and boom, boom, boom. They said, so we realized Don Belisario had done the backup script for a previous project at CBS. Now, he'd already approved him, and he's on staff. And he said, what about Don Belisario? Well, he couldn't say no. He'd already said yes. So Tom was sort of cornered into doing Magnum PI, and Don wrote a script that was second to none. I mean, it was really, really good. And as it turns out in his career, there's two projects Tom did not want to do. One was Magnum PI, and one was 3 Men and a Baby. It was like, maybe you get forced into some of the really good projects in life. But in any case, Don was absolutely terrific on that show. And he ran it for all the time. Well, not the entire time it was on the air, because Tom came in and took over at a certain point and things like that. But that's basically the story. We moved it from ABC to CBS. We got the star. which was a perfect fit. I had based this concept, by the way, on a little of my life and a couple of other things. I wanted a guy who had, some of the trappings of fun. So making him, I had a house over there, and I had a guy who took care of it. Lived in a guest house, and I thought of the novelist Robin
Masters?
Well, Robin Masters was the name of our character in the show, but it's based on Harold Robbins, who had houses everywhere, but was always traveling. He was never at them. So that's where I got Robin Masters from, and the Ferrari, everything. I was always a little annoyed because I picked this Ferrari 308 GT, and so Ferrari gives Tom the car. How is that fair? Could have picked anything. Well, anyway, Tom was one of the sweethearts of all time. He was just really a good guy, and he loved the show, and he really became Mr. Hawaii. It affected the tourist business like crazy because it was really, we know a young couple who own a restaurant there that saw Hawaii on television and moved there and opened a restaurant. So sometimes the work you do has repercussions you don't know about. Hawaii still do for a good show. Anyway, that's the basics of it. It was Don who picked Mike Post to come in and do the theme, which I thought was a great theme. And that's the story of Magnum PI.